Also at COP30 is Praveena Sridhar, who's worked on numerous projects focusing on sustainable drinking water, sanitation and farmer welfare. She's currently the Chief Science and Policy Officer for the global Save Soil movement. Praveena, thanks for taking the time to talk to us. Just give us a general overview about what you've been encouraged by in Belém and what's frustrating you.
Thanks for having me here. The bit that's very encouraging about Belém is that unlike most other COPs, for the first time, a lot of effort is being taken by this presidency to streamline various initiatives, various declarations, to kind of organize them and say that where do we stand right now in terms of interventions, in terms of who is bringing what to the table. Civil society, the governments, and everything. It's in many ways, whatever global stocktake happened in Dubai, this is more like a summation of that, and it's like a very good project management, streamlining of entire projects happening, global projects of how to restore our planet happening right now. That's encouraging. In many ways, that's the global Mutirao that Brazil has been speaking about. And the frustrating part is that we continue to differ and argue and debate on how do we restore, who pays for what, and how much is the cost of the damages that we have predicted that has happened because of the climate situation. And in this whole thing, there are lands continuing to get degraded, communities continuing to get displaced. So this is the frustrating part. The process itself is so slow.
Absolutely. And to get so many nations to agree on the phasing out of fossil fuels and moving towards green energy, not only are you talking about a huge financial commitment, a different philosophy of how we live, but we also have to confront attitudes like the US president's. Donald Trump says the climate crisis is a hoax. We've had Total, that huge international energy conglomerate, its boss in Belém, saying, what's the problem? There have always been cyclones in the Caribbean. We know, you know, scientists have proven how the climate crisis is affecting nature. But the boss of Total says it's always been like this.
While I don't want to comment on what the President of the United States says, yes, there have been quite a bit of hurricanes, tornadoes. The region has faced them regularly. But one cannot miss the fact that the frequency has increased and the damages conducted by these have only gone up further and further. While it cannot be denied, something like this is happening. And if we deny that, we are trivializing the lives of the people who are living in these, especially the Caribbean regions, or small islands in the Pacific, in other places. So while people may make remarks about it when they record now, but the real solution to these things lie in nature-based solutions, be it as forests, like the tropical forest initiative that Brazil is trying to pioneer, or for that matter, regenerative agriculture practices that can be done and that can kind of, at some level, reduce the effect of climate disasters in these communities. In many ways, we really need to go back to nature and acknowledge that nature is far more intelligent than us and allow for nature to solve for our problems.
Are you talking about, this is your very specific area expertise, about how humans engage in agriculture and how our food systems work? How much is COP30 addressing those issues?
Like, I have been coming to COPs from Sharm el-Sheikh onwards, following all the negotiations, conversations and everything. There was a FAST initiative that was launched in Sharm el-Sheikh, and there was also Sharm el-Sheikh Joint Working Group that was set up to see how food and agriculture systems get the finance, get the data, get the planning, that it needs for it to be integrated into climate action. The reading of it is like there's a lot of conversations happening, a lot of buzz around it. It's becoming I would say, becoming part of the mainstream discourse. But when it comes to real action, in terms of having a plan, quantitative plan, saying that right now agriculture contributes to over 30% of emissions, we will actually work towards, as nations, towards making this part of the solution because it holds that potential in its soils. So when nations, to take an example of the NDCs that have come through this year, the third round of NDCs, all the nations have very clear quantitative targets on energies. How much renewables are they going to move into? How will the transportation be? To kind of, so that it's kind of clean energy is being used in your transportation. The quantified targets that are submitted. But when it comes to food systems, only especially soils, we did an analysis that soils, only 30% of the nations actually talk about food systems and soil as a part of mitigation strategy. It's really not featuring in a big manner. It is definitely I would say, a step up from NDC 1, but it's not enough because this is a very low cost solution and which has a ramification of all of us on the planet. Because if there are no soil, there is no food. 95% of the food that all of us consume come from land and soils.
Praveena Sridhar, thank you so much for your time, Praveena.